Hi, it's Katrina. Number 10. Rare Roman sarcophagus. Diving school trainer Hakan Gulech was swimming in the waters off Antalya, Turkey in 2012 when he spotted a mysterious out-of-place object on the seabed covered in sand and rocks. He tried to move it but failed, and the attempt revealed carved figures in the process. Realizing that he may have discovered something important, Gulech snapped some photos and showed them to officials from the nearby Alanya Museum. The object in question turned out to be a sarcophagus dating back to the 2nd or 3rd century BC. Experts traced it to the Roman era and identified some of the carvings as depictions of deities and mythical characters, including Eros and Medusa. Authorities decided that the sarcophagus would make a nice addition to the museum's collection, and also decided to bring it out of the water. It took hours and hours, but in the end, the mission was a success. Number 9. Ancient Carthaginian Galleys. On March 10, 241 BC, a fleet of Roman ships destroyed an armada of Carthaginian vessels off Sicily's northwestern coast, causing them to sink to the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. The battle marked the end of the First Punic War, with Rome emerging victorious against Carthage. During maritime battles like this, warships deliberately crashed into each other in an effort to sink the enemy, or to get close enough to board the enemy ship and face off in hand-to-hand combat. Vessels were equipped with metal rams to protect against damage and maximize the destruction against the enemy. The remains of some of the wrecked ships from that ill-fated battle have been found scattered along the sea floor, where they've sat for over 2,000 years. A study published last year revealed that one submerged bronze ram was home to over 100 marine species who have repurposed the sunken vessels as their homes. The hollow metal object was recovered and restored in 2017. As part of the process, the team collected and studied samples of the organisms living on it. They also examined the ram itself, which is covered with Punic inscriptions that have yet to be deciphered. By taking a closer look at the ancient debris and what's living on it, experts are learning about the past, and researchers are gaining a better understanding of how underwater creatures incorporate man-made objects into their natural habitat. Number 8. A Crusader Sword. While exploring the waters off Israel's Carmel coast in 2021, an amateur scuba diver named Shlomi Katzen discovered a collection of ancient artifacts, including anchors, pottery fragments, and a 900-year-old sword that may have belonged to a Crusader knight. Archaeologists with the Israel Antiquities Authority, or the IAA, described the nearly 3-foot-long iron blade as a beautiful and rare find. It was used sometime during the Crusader period, which lasted from 1095 to 1291. The anchors that Katzen discovered date back 4,000 years to the late Bronze Age. These fascinating finds mark the latest of several recent discoveries of ancient artifacts in the region, which has natural coves that functioned as a refuge for merchant ships during storms. Many of these vessels left behind historically valuable items that are just now being found, thanks to waves and shifting undercurrents moving the sand along the seafloor. IAA Marine Archaeology Unit Director Kobe Sharvit told National Public Radio that even small storms can shift sands, revealing certain parts of the seabed while burying others. Objects from the past are also surfacing more often because leisure diving is on the rise. Sharvit emphasized the importance of leaving any discoveries in place and reporting them to authorities so that they can be documented properly. Katzen received a Certificate of Appreciation of Good Citizenship for alerting the IAA to the sword, which will go on public display after it's been cleaned and restored. Number 7. A Lost Empire's Gold. Between the 7th and 11th centuries, the powerful Srivijaya Empire controlled much of Asia's maritime trade. The civilization was headquartered on what is now the Indonesian island of Sumatra in the city of Palembang. It left behind little archaeological evidence, leaving modern experts with limited knowledge of what the Srivijaya Empire was like. No traces of the city's buildings have been found, perhaps because they were buried by a volcano, or because they were made from wood and deteriorated. Much of what researchers know about Srivijaya comes from the eyewitness accounts of travelers who passed through. It was reportedly rich in gold, and used its wealth to build advantageous relationships with China and other powerful societies. The empire also financed Buddhist monasteries and temples in China, Java, and India. No official archaeological excavations have been carried out in the area, but people began finding coins, jewelry, and other treasure along the Musi River in 2011, and the discoveries continue to this day. Late last year, divers found gold rings, beads, precious gems, a Buddha statue, and other objects that are thought to be from the Srivijaya Empire. British maritime archaeologist Sean Kingsley suspects that Srivijaya was a floating city made out of wood, which rotted after the city's abandonment and caused artifacts to sink to the bottom of the river. Indonesia imposed a moratorium on underwater archaeology back in 2010, but this isn't enough to stop people from conducting their own dives in search of valuable items, and those who find artifacts by chance are unlikely to report their discoveries. Unfortunately, this leaves experts empty-handed and unable to learn more about the mysterious civilization and its unexplained collapse. What would you do if you discovered sunken treasure? Would you report it or keep it for yourself? Let me know in the comments. And now for number 6. But first, want to give a big shout out to Tracy Demond and Gary Just Johnson. You guys are awesome! We wouldn't be here without you. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already to join the Origins Explained family. Number 6. Stele of Tonis Heraklion. Around 440 BC, the Greek writer Herodotus described a coastal city that became known as Heraklion. Experts spent decades searching for it underwater until French archaeologist Frank Gaudio finally found it off Egypt's northern coast in Abu Qir Bay. Among the ruins, Gaudio's team found a large stone containing inscriptions about a town called Tonis. Before then, researchers had widely believed that Tonis and Heraklion were two different places, but the hieroglyphics proved that they were actually one place that went by two names. To the Greeks, it was Heraklion, while Egyptians called it Tonis. Pharaoh Nectanebo I commissioned the stele of Tonis Heraklion sometime during his reign, which lasted from 378 to 362 BC. A nearly identical stone was found at the ancient city of Naucratis, with the only difference being the column in which the location's name was carved. The tablet's decree states that 10% of all taxes from local productions and imports must go toward a temple in the eastern Nile Delta of Lower Egypt, dedicated to the Egyptian deity Neith. Divers at Tonis Heraklion also found a nearly 18-foot-tall, 6.6-ton red granite statue of Hapi, a divine personification of Nile floods. It dates back to the 4th century BC, and it's the largest known Hapi statue ever found. It might be pronounced Hapi, but you'll remember the god's name if I say Hapi. Tonis Heraklion experienced an earthquake during the 2nd century BC that liquefied the ground beneath it, causing the city to sink into the sea. And until its relatively recent rediscovery, experts were stuck wondering if it was a purely mythical place. Number 5. Battersea Shield. In 1857, workers dredged up an ancient bronze shield from the Thames River in London while excavating ahead of the construction of the historic Chelsea Bridge. It's made from several pieces that are held together by rivets and is decorated in the style of the Celtic Latin culture. Known as the Battersea Shield, the object would have been used as a covering for a wooden shield. It's considered one of the most significant pieces of Celtic art ever discovered in Britain, but its origins are a mystery. For one, nobody can say for sure when the shield was made or used. The Museum of London dated it to sometime between 350 and 50 BC, but some experts think it may have been made during the early 1st century AD. The workers who discovered the Battersea Shield also found skeletons, as well as large amounts of Roman and Celtic weapons. Consequently, some historians theorize that the shield was left behind during Julius Caesar's invasion of Britain in 54 BC, but most modern scholars challenge this view. The bronze plating that the shield is made from is too thin to have protected someone during combat, and it contains no sign of battle-related damage. So it's likely that the Battersea Shield was created as a way for someone to show off their social status, or as a parade piece, and then was deposited into the river as a religious offering. Most researchers who agree with this also think that the shield predates Caesar's invasion in 54 BC. Interestingly, the artifact features swastika-like symbols, which in today's world represents hatred and bigotry, but at the time the shield was created, it represented good luck and solar energy. In the ancient world, the symbol wasn't evil, but was known as the whirling sun. Number 4. The Lost Temple of Hercules Gaditanus. Earlier this year, archaeologists near Cadiz, Spain, announced that they may have discovered an ancient pilgrimage site called the Temple of Hercules Gaditanus. Famous historical figures such as Julius Caesar and Hannibal reportedly visited the site, which dates back to the 8th century BC and is being called the Holy Grail of artifacts. The temple is submerged in a small channel called the Caño de Sancti Petri. Archaeology graduate student Ricardo Belizon was the first to detect the site while examining images that were taken using remote sensing technology called LiDAR, which enables experts to see hidden and buried objects. He noticed a 1,000-foot-long, 500-foot-wide structure near the shore, which matched the description of the lost temple. The team has been unable to excavate the underwater ruins because of the marshy environment's shifting water levels, but they are making plans to do so. These challenging conditions fall in line with the historical description of the temple, which may have been built by the Phoenicians. Ancient texts about Hannibal's and Julius Caesar's visits describe the site as a changing environment in contact with the sea, subject to the changing tides. Not all experts believe that the structure is the mythical Temple of Hercules. Archaeology professor Antonio Monterroso Checa, who authored a study in 2020 claiming that the temple is in another location, stands by his findings and attributes the new research to a triangulation error with no reality at all. For now, the claims in both studies remain unproven, but it looks like there's quite a bit of competition going on. Number 3. The Port of Amathus. The Port of Amathus was an artificial harbor that was likely built during the 3rd or 4th century BC, near the modern-day city of Limassol, in what is now Cyprus. Experts described it as an impressive but short-lived large public port project of the Hellenistic period, which may never have been completed. It contains 3 piers made from large rectangular stones, which protected the ships from strong winds. Today, the ancient port's outer harbor sits 13 feet underwater and extends 328 feet from the shore. Sadly, it appears as though the site was never used for its intended purpose. The area was abandoned entirely by the 6th century, most likely due to Arab raids, although archaeologists don't know for sure why the population of Amathus fled. A team led by Dr. Jean-Yves Empereur first excavated the submerged site during the 1980s. In 2005, an artificial reef was established among the ruins. It has unfortunately caused a lot of stress to the structures. Now, officials want to turn the site into an underwater park. The plan is causing tensions between people who want to preserve the harbor and those who are more concerned with protecting a marine plant called Neptune grass. Authorities are pushing forward with the plans and have promised the public that they will protect both the submerged rooms and the Neptune grass, which is vital to aquatic ecosystems in the Mediterranean. Number 2. Ancient ships full of wine. In the summer of 2021, scientists announced the discovery of an ancient Roman shipwreck off the coast of Palermo, Sicily. Dating back to the 2nd century BC, the vessel rests over 300 feet beneath the waves near the town of Isola delle Femmine, which sits along the island's northwestern shore. Using a submarine robot, the team noticed that the ship was carrying an extensive amount of wine jars, or amphorae. The discovery came just weeks after another group of researchers found another ancient wreck off the island of Ustica, which is located north of Sicily. It rests at a depth of around 230 feet and was also found to contain a copious amount of wine. These are just 2 of many Roman shipwrecks that have been discovered throughout the Mediterranean. In recent years, the Italian authorities have stepped up their fight against the black market, which recovers hundreds of stolen amphorae from people's homes every year. It's important to prevent valuable artifacts from falling into shady hands whenever possible, because moving an object from where it was found takes away the opportunity to study it in its proper context. By investigating the newly discovered wrecks and their cargo firsthand, researchers can learn more about ancient trade in the Mediterranean, where the Romans exchanged wine, olives, and other products with merchants in North Africa, Spain, France, and the Middle East. Number 1. Bronze Age gold jewelry. Sometime during the late 14th century BC, a ship wrecked off the coast of what is now Uluburun, Turkey. The submerged vessel was discovered by a sponge diver in 1982 and has been hailed as one of the most spectacular Bronze Age wrecks ever found. Archaeologists recovered a plethora of fascinating artifacts, including 10 tons of copper ingots and other items made from raw copper, as well as 149 Canaanite jars, which are typically found in Greece, Cyprus, Syria, Palestine, and Egypt. The earliest known intact glass ingots were also found in the wreck, along with numerous gold artifacts, including figurines, beads, and jewelry. There were also amber beads, ivory objects, pottery, oil lamps, and more. Based on the ship's cargo, experts have theorized it departed from a port in Cyprus or Syria-Palestine. They are almost certain that it was headed for the region west of Cyprus to a port in the Aegean Sea, maybe mainland Greece. Some researchers believe that the vessel may have been destined for the Greek island of Rhodes, which functioned as an important regional distribution center at the time. Thanks for watching! Which of these incredible artifacts would you be the most excited about had you discovered it? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you later. Bye!